fucked up. It's so dark. The darkest fucking commercial I've seen in so long.
I'm Josh. This is Malcolm. We are the creative
Hello.
leads at BRINK. People want to hear what we think about the Super Bowl ads. We're going to give the people what they want. So let's do it. Ad number 1, Bud Light hold music. Let's watch.
The estimated hold time is now less than 96 minutes. We thank you for your patience.
Sorry, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, please hold.
So, initial reactions.
If we're talking universal human truths, I like that they acknowledge that this very specific hold music track does rip. Like, I have mentioned it before. I've walked around this office playing it, being like, why does this hold song go so hard? Which is funny to me that someone made a commercial because it's very relatable. Thank God we're hearing from Miles Teller and his wife and dog that I don't care about or know. It seems like a weird celeb tie-in. Like, why is he relevant? It's certainly his wife and dog or not.
The fact that it was a celebrity I didn't think mattered, but I thought this was one of the riskiest Super Bowl ads I've ever seen because it's quiet, it's intimate, and usually everybody always goes the opposite direction and goes as hard as they can on spectacle. And knowing like what the approval processes would be like, and knowing that, especially with like Budweiser, you know, I'm just surprised they were able to pull off something so intimate for such a big stage, you know.
It is weird too. I can't get over the fact that it's Miles Teller because it's like when I think about the process of it, I assume that it was it's his dog and his wife. I would assume he had a fair amount of give on what was going down on set. And it's not like it's like if Tom Hanks was doing this, we'd all be really worked up. It's not a celebrity that has like the clouts where they'd be like, oh, what Miles says goes. He has that value to this Bud Light commercial. Oh, was he in Maverick? I didn't know that. That's why I was like, what has he been in? Like, I haven't seen him in anything in forever. Maybe he's just not in the movies that I'm watching.
I can tell you that right after Top Gun Maverick came out, I got a text spontaneously from my mom, who we do not text with very often. And her text said, I really love Miles Teller. I'd love to watch Whiplash with you next time we see each other.
America's sweetheart, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I like this. I like that. I won't remember it 6 months from now, unless I hear that hold music. I might be like, oh, right. I also think this hold music is a banger. But like, it's not particularly memorable to me, but it's neutral to positive impression.
Yeah, I like this a little bit more than you. I think this was probably in my like top 3. It really stood out to me. Like it was definitely the one I would remember. I've also seen a fair bit of positive reaction from others in the minimal amount of research I did in prep for this conversation. Nice. It seemed like you could tell. It was funny going on YouTube and seeing which ones turned off the comment sections and then which one let the comments take place. And this one had a lot of very positive comments on it.
I was very into, I looked at the YouTube comments on only a few of them, but the YouTube comments on the Gronkowski, the kick itself is just boomer dads, like exclusively boomer dads, just ranking the kick, just being like, look, I love Gronk, but he's a little wide on the left thumb. It's very fun. This is very fun, just like boomer dad discourse around Gronkowski's kicking ability. They were angry though. You could tell that it was cool to see that from the YouTube comments, like instant pulse check on the ads, because they would either all be overwhelmingly positive or just like super negative.
Yeah, one thing that was bizarre about that, we didn't put that in the mix to look at. I don't think it's worth watching, but talking about it, there's definitely, it's apparently the first live ad ever. They did nothing to lean into that. It could have been pre-recorded. It's like, why go through all the spectacle? And then that's what it is.
That's very accurate. It showed me how little I know about football, because to me, he very clearly did make the field goal.
That was very hard to see.
He didn't. They were like, he didn't make it, and I was like, it looks to me like it went through the H. Isn't that what a field goal is? I was confused. I thought they maybe like messed it up. I thought it was like a flub where like the person who called it in real time thought he didn't make it, but he did, which would be fun since everyone was gambling on it if they'd flubbed it.
Yeah. All right, let's watch the next one. We got Dunkin Drive-Thru starring Ben Affleck.
Oh hell yeah, let's go.
Welcome to Dunkin', a new special. Dunkin' run medium or large coffee, get a donut for an incremental $1. Like, how can it be this inexpensive and good?
Cream, no sugar.
I'm just gonna have to just give you 10 munchkins. You look a little lost. 1 second, I'm trying to find the bagels. Do I look familiar? Should I be in it, or you want just use the self-portrait?
What are you doing here?
Curse me.
Is this what you do when you say you're going to work all day?
I gotta go, guys.
Grab me a glazed.
That's a tight 30 right there.
Yeah, they kept it. They kept it on the button. He directed it too.
Nice. Yeah, also one that, oddly, to the point about the hold music on the previous one, where it's like an internet meme come to life through commercial that everybody knows that he's a big fan of Dunkin', and he's also kind of depressed, and they brought that persona in. He kind of looks like he just woke up. Maybe that's just how he looks now. I don't know. I haven't seen him around lately, but it felt like they were playing it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that like culturally it's in the zeitgeist that just like Boston accents are funny. Like that, this is like at least there were at least 2 Super Bowl ads that the bit was just, it's funny that Boston people are aggressive. I like that about it. I like the hidden camera thing. I mean, it was the only one that did it. You don't see it a lot these days. Like the thing of like, we'll place something disruptive in real life and let nonfiction transpire. I think the strongest moment is the dude who doesn't recognize him. That's the funniest thing in there to me. And it's fun that he put it in there. Like he was in charge of the editing room and was like, yeah, this is a really good moment. And it goes the opposite way of how it should, right? That's why, because the whole setup of this spot is that someone's like, oh my God, it's Ben Affleck at the Dunkin'. And that guy's just like, give me my fucking donut. Who are you? And the fact that they zagged that way is funny and good.
Yep. Overall, this was definitely in like maybe the top 25 or 30% for me. Definitely, I wouldn't say was memorable, but I thought was funny. I smirked again, having seen it the 5th time. And I remember Dunkin', which is a thing that I think half of these ads, you forget what they're even advertising. In this one, that was pretty
sure.
Center, so. Yeah,
this is top 5 for me. I liked it a lot. The celebrity thing, I feel like it just doesn't work. Like I don't think maybe I knew that they were married, but like there's like in jokes for me that I don't get, because I'm just like, I don't know. Why is J-Lo in this now? But I read about this one, so now I do know. But that's the one thing I would rate, is just like, give me more exposition on the J-Lo Ben Affleck marriage situation.
I feel like that's like peak, ultimately not culturally aware to not know about Ben Affleck and J-Lo.
Certainly celebrity gossip. I love, I was busy reading the Bible and learning about the real important stuff that navigates our culture, not J-Lo and Ben Affleck. It's a distraction.
Well, yeah, I think they've been together for like 25 years now, off and on. So it's hard to keep track.
Right, because Gigli.
Yeah.
Great film.
It is a great film. Very underrated. Since you mentioned the Bible, let's jump to Love Your Enemies, because that one
was the coolest one.
Yeah, that was like the ultimate jaw drop when I got to the titles.
Maybe I'm foolish, or maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind. Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying. Take a look in the mirror, and what do you see? Do you see it clearer, or are you deceived? in what you believe. 'Cause I'm only human after all.
So sick. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I want to double back and clarify for the viewers who don't know me that I'm not Christian. The bit I was making there was that Josh talks a lot about the idea of, being like a connoisseur of culture. And I was making the joke that a lot of the time I like to study things that are maybe older but motivate deeper behaviors, like the Bible, which is, the most relevant book on the planet, but a lot of people haven't read it. Spirituality is cool. I'm not dunking on Christians. These guys have been going very hard. I get tagged in these ads, this campaign, for the past 6 months, and it's routinely advertisements that'll be on like my YouTube or something where I'll look up from my phone and be like, this is sick. And then they hit you with the Jesus tag, which is cool. Like it's very, very refreshing and cuts through the noise.
Yeah, this felt the most like something that we would do, I felt, which is interesting. It's definitely hitting on themes that we like to hit on in our own work. And even that tagline that they've been using, the "He Gets Us," I think is a really interesting take. I've never seen some sort of religious initiative take an angle like that really feels fresh and of the time.
It's interesting. I guess two things. One, have you seen their creative, the Jesus was a refugee stuff that they do? Yeah, those are really cool. This one's interesting because, I read a little bit about the ads this year too, and the overwhelming narrative around the ads this year was like, people are tired. We're getting out of COVID. We're at war in Ukraine. People just want a little distraction. They just want to have fun with Miles Teller and his wife. And they went the other direction, right? They hit a very 2021 messaging angle, and it shouldn't work. I should be leave me alone. I don't want to see more of this. I'm tired of corporations telling me how divided we are as a democracy. But I liked it a lot. I think part of what works about it is the way they show you the images of conflict doesn't feel manipulative. It's just music and stills, and the stills are super bipartisan and removed from anything. It's not that thing of heavy music while news footage plays of a protest. It's very just you can feel what you're going to feel right now, and we don't care because we know everyone's going to have universal human reactions to seeing these moments that would have your heart pounding out of your chest. It's really strong. There's a subtlety to why it's so powerful, though.
Yeah. And I've already been noticing, looking around at, ad age analysis and stuff, that it's not getting its true due because of who's paying for it. I think that, which is bullshit. I think that it's funny that the one thing that wasn't selling, a product, but instead was people that believe in something and want to back it is a thing that we're all gonna kind of shun away as being. Is not as authentic or whatever for the Super Bowl audience.
I mean, it rewards nothing about what the fundamental value of the Super Bowl advertising ethos is. This idea of let us show you all the new things you can buy that'll help show other people who you are. And the one thing that's just why don't you deepen your relationship with the world through self-actualization? We're all just get it off.
No.
Get it off. Is very fun. That's a very base take.
Yeah. It was interesting. I'm in DC, you're in Tucson, Arizona, and the local ads that I was getting here outside of, plumbers and shit like that was a lot of advocacy type stuff. And I thought maybe this was a local ad. I had to go look it up to make sure that it ran nationally because it was fitting the tone of some of the other stuff we were seeing locally. That the coolest one was somebody, I should have included this. Somebody put together an ad that was an anti-Tesla ad. And it was just footage of Teslas blowing through crash test dummies.
Tesla full self-driving will run down a child in a school crosswalk, hit a baby in a stroller, go straight past stopped school buses, 90% agree that this should be banned immediately. Why does NHTSA allow Tesla full self-driving?
And that was the whole spot. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But we're getting a lot of stuff like that, which I guess is like the benefit of being in DC. You tend to get more selling of ideas, not just selling, stuff you don't need.
Yeah, a little bit of like a closer alignment to like straight up propaganda, which is interesting. That because it actually matters if you move the needle on those people's values, because it's worth investing in messaging to the way they actually think, not just what they're buying. That's very interesting.
Yeah. But hey, you got one of our ads in Tucson, so there's an advantage of being in Tucson.
Yeah, I was able to let Kayla know it was playing too, and she texted me when it played. It was very sweet.
Nice. All right, let's watch the Farmer's Dog Forever spot. One of 2 dog spots we're looking at.
I'll always take care of you. Hey, little baby. Gonna be a good boy?
Don't worry, darling, about the rest of our life.
From this day forward.
Through thick and thin,
Come on, baby.
I'll be there by your side.
Oh.
I'm gonna love you forever.
Hey, man.
Yeah, so I think that this one benefited from being part of a Super Bowl that had very little examples of this type of storytelling. Everything else was just like, haha, celebrities and humor. And then you get like something that's 60 full seconds of just like very well executed visual storytelling. Nothing high concept, very simple, but it made it stand out.
Dude, you show me dog, I cry. That's the classic. It's the simplest equation that exists in human storytelling. It's just show me narrative from perspective of dog. I will want to or will actually cry like a child. Well directed too. It's the visuals are super on point. They're not doing anything in there that isn't playing by rules that have been established for commercial, like commercial directing for about 10 years, The edgiest they get is like the under the blankets with an HMI shot, but it's just solid. It's just a solid. They took the directorial and cinematography and editing approach of the dog commercial. Like they were just like, let's play the hits, baby. Let's do the greatest hits of a commercial directed spot. And will I remember it compared to every other You See Dog I Cry commercial I've ever seen? I don't know. I don't think I will, but it's good. It's a good You See Dog You Cry commercial.
Yeah, I think the other issue is the brand's really easy. It could have been any brand, and I didn't remember the brand until seeing it again.
If I'm being honest, when I watched this before we recorded, I thought it was for Farmers Insurance. I thought it was an insurance commercial that was like, there's nothing more important. And then this time I was like, oh, it's a dog food. I thought they were saying like it was the dog's insurance. I don't know. I was just watching them pass. The only thing that makes me cry more than You See Dog I Cry is when you humanize an inanimate object and you show, and like, I would like to see a dog food commercial do that with the dog food. That would be cool. Show me the dog food's life as the bag that's getting poured out and like the dog's growing and then like the bag gets thrown away, but like they get a new bag from the grocery store. So you get that like thing where you feel sad for no reason. You're like, why am I upset that this dog food bag is getting thrown in the trash? Full scope. That's what I would have.
Let's stay on the dog theme then and jump ahead to Saving Sawyer, which was Amazon's spot.
Hell yeah.
It seems like only yesterday.
Qué bonito. Good boy. Excited to see you all in person. Don't forget your homework.
All back in the office next week, right?
Can you believe it?
Now you're all grown up inside.
Let's go. Lockdown is over.
How fast those moments flee. Life is brief, but when it's gone, love goes on and on. Love will live.
Here comes a train. I know you can.
Which one?
You might like that one.
Life is brief, but when it's gone,
So fucking stupid.
love goes on and on.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite spot, but I want to hear what you think first.
My reaction to this spot specifically, without magnifying to a larger place, is just that you can't order the dog on Amazon. Like, I just don't understand how the script got out of the polishing phase. The kennel is a complete. I get that it's a red herring, and like maybe that's why it's fun. But like the whole basis is that like Amazon makes your life better, and they made it better by getting a kennel to temporarily transport a dog. That you don't even need the kennel; just put the dog in your car. Like, why? What is the necessity? You got a new dog for your dog. Just hold the dog while you take it from the pound to your house. It's not even needed. It's just that reveal deeply distracts me from having like an emotional reaction.
Interesting.
Unless you're implying that the dog was ordered off Amazon, which is crazy to think. Like, was he in the box? Did he get to his office?
Yeah, I don't think you can get dogs on Amazon quite yet. Yeah, I think that the reason this works so well for me, although now that we talk about it as a commercial, yeah, I don't know if I even remember Amazon that much. I just really like the story. I thought the dog was the best actor of the night, first of all.
This is the only one that made me laugh when they wanted me to. I will say that, despite my roast of it. The beat where she's throwing the treats and it smash cuts to her like talking and the treats catapulting got a chuckle out of me. Him running down the stairs with like an abstract painting is a very funny beat. It just strikes me as odd because Amazon, they sell everything. They can do literally whatever they want. Like when you sit down to ideate a script for Amazon for the Super Bowl, the fact that they were like, we got to go dog this year. We got to go. It's just like, no, you don't. You can do anything you want. And in the past, they've done really just bolder storytelling in a way that I just feel like it's a weird whiff for them to go with something so safe when, like you're saying, the hearts and minds of Americans, they're not doing great. This is just going to read as inauthentic. Everyone knows dog story. Everyone's just going to be like, yeah, Amazon, thanks for like the lazy heartstring. It just seems like a misplay to me. It's a nice story though. Well directed, obviously. It's focus grouped to death. But like bilingual households, there's just like so many beats in there where I'm just like, that was nice insight for you to include.
Yeah, probably true of all of these for the most part.
Sure.
I think that was my big, this is the first time that we decided we wanted to talk about them. So I was actually paying attention, and it made me realize the same thing happens with commercials that happens with cinema, where it's like the higher the stakes, the safer it gets. And
oh yeah,
that should be obvious, but I never really fully thought about that before until now. I was like, wow,
yeah,
so many of these, complete lack of any swing whatsoever. I think the thing that surprised me the most was how much it was, let's not even necessarily have good writing. Let's just like take like a bad pun. I didn't even want to look at it, but the one with John Hamm and what's her name? Brie, what's her name?
Brie Larson.
Where it was like ham and brie pun, I feel like is the first thing I would say when we sat down with a brief as a joke, and then we would move on, right? Like, how did that become the Super Bowl spot?
Well,
and then Pete Davidson's
it
in
is
there for some reason.
It's foundationally what you're talking about is just like risk avoidance, right? It's just that it's millions and millions and millions of dollars are getting sunk into these things, so they have to go as broad as they possibly can, and that ends up with, there's a reason. I think, at least last time I was aware of it, certainly one of the richest corporations on the planet went with Dog Story. It's because they just have to go with like what is going to have the broadest appeal humanly imaginable. When has that ever been good art? Like very rarely. Sometimes it's the best art ever, but it's very rare that you get something that has that 85% of people are going to react to this in a positive light, and not just in a light of like, this is happening to me and I'm not upset by it, which is where you end up. You end up with stuff that's just, this is occurring. I think about it a lot as like Super Bowl ads all feel like they're designed for like your dad to be watching them and be like, hey, it's Breaking Bad. Like that's what that's the emotional level they're shooting for, is that like a dad who's watching it's just like the Malcolm in the Middle guy. And like, that's all you get, because you're just trying to hit this like straight down the middle target.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, let's do this Doritos spot, Jack's new angle, because that was definitely that. I thought at least got a chuckle out of me as far as the premise, but
yeah, I liked this one.
All right, let's watch.
It's just not right. Nah, I need to try something new.
You gonna quit rap for a triangle?
I gotta do me, Missy.
No. It's ding, 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 not ding, 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 ding.
Jack Harlow did it again.
Ting, ting, ting.
Yes, that's it. America has a case of triangle fever.
Everybody, we are sold out of triangles, but we still have cowbells.
The triangle has replaced the British pound.
Triangle by Harlow.
And Triangle Player of the Year goes to Elton John!
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Good example. Yeah. Take like a absurdist premise and then just write a billion funny goofs and then narrow it down and record them. But it does have like I liked that it had that bait and switch, or that kind of like twist at the end. Just when it was getting old as a premise, give you something else to make you remember it.
It is a Super Bowl classic to be like, in the last 5 seconds, there's a different celebrity, and we're switching it up on you. It's like, oh, it's tried and true, and it works. I liked it. I liked, again, the dad in his recliner. You're like, oh, it's Elton John. Like, I can see it in my mind's eye. The thing I like about this one a lot, whether or not everyone was in on this, it is very funny to me that it is fundamentally, what it is satirizing is that Jack Harlow's music does not matter, because what matters is that the music industry has decided Jack Harlow is a packageable good that Americans will ride with. They like what has been created as a brand for Jack Harlow, and if he played a fucking triangle, it would still work. And I think that's a very funny thing to like actively deconstruct and satirize, whether or not Jack Harlow and the Sway radio crew were like aware of what was going on during that. I'm not so sure, but I liked it.
Yep. And really like that push in from the Dorito to the triangle near the beginning. Really cool.
Dude, they got a good shape. There's that Doritos commercial I love that's all about, it works. I like the triangle a lot. I also, visually pleasing.
All right, let's talk about avocados.
Eve? What's going on?
I might have taken a small bite. Adam.
I'm naked! Hey! Try this! Avocados from Mexico! They make everything better!
Avocados from Mexico!
Well, it's another perfect day in the Big Avocado. Traffic is smooth, as always.
Yo, I love you!
No, I love you.
And in fashion news, naked continues to be all the rage.
It's an avocado. But it's also a foe. You were right. Avocados from Mexico make everything better.
Ah, sweet liberty.
Now that's a tourist attraction.
Oh my God. This is my favorite thing. I've watched it like a few times now, and I like it more every time I see it. First of all, my favorite thing about this, when I saw it, when they cut to that Statue of Liberty naked, again, talking about this dad, there were dads who were like, all right, I know we're having fun here, but like, I don't like seeing her like that. Like, there were dads who were upset that they like made the Statue of Liberty naked, which visualizing that deeply pleases me. The premise that the Garden of Eden's innocence we lost when we started civilization has been negated by a chipmunk with an avocado is my favorite thing I've ever heard. Like, as a premise for a story, it's just so psychotic and so irreverent. This feels like a high watermark of the lol so random advertising trend to me that I found deeply, deeply pleasing. Yeah, it's a 10. It's a 10 for me. This is my favorite thing ever.
Interesting. Yeah, this was it for me. It felt a little too irreverent, where it almost made it forgettable for me in that, like, I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I almost wanted to tune it out when it started playing because it was just like, what is happening here? To me, that irreverent angle of advertising happens after the whole like death of sincerity through irony in the 90s, right? And to me, it almost feels like why it feels like the end game or a high watermark is because there's almost something like nihilistically flippant about this advertisement to me, where they're just like, this doesn't matter. None of this matters. None of it makes sense. Why would the Big Apple is now called the Big Avocado? Like, it has no, they just don't give a shit. It seems genuinely like whoever made this was just like, I have hundreds of millions of dollars and I don't care. You're going to buy avocados either way. Time for me to just like do a bunch of Adderall and just like phone note it out for a night, and we're gonna go make whatever that is. It's just so like insane, and there's something fun about that, and it also feels like not particularly focus groups. There are just things about it that I'm like, I don't really like that, and I don't think anyone else would. I don't know. There's something about it. It's tough to get at, but there's something there that I'm very into. What do you think they're trying to say with? Everybody has a perfect body except cops in the spot. What's up with that?
No. The best one that worked me the fuck up about this is that in a utopia, Steve Jobs is black. There's a longer version of it. I don't know if it's the one that you just watched because I pulled up a different one. But the one that I saw, there's one where he's like, it's an iPhone. And it's also an avocado. And it's a black guy who's Steve Jobs, which means that like if this utopia had happened, a key difference in the world is that Steve Jobs is an African American, which I was deeply worked up by. That was a decision. Someone cast that fool and was like, "No, this is it. We make Steve Jobs diverse. That's how we do it." It's, like, it's such a insane it's insane. A madman made this, and I like it. I like how unhinged it is. The chipmunk, the replacing the snake that gave mankind knowledge of self with a chipmunk that gives you an avocado is such a psychotic thing to do. That has no bearing in anything. What if there's? Are there like? It's so crazy.
Makes sense. All right, let's look at Google Pixel. Fixed on Pixel.
Wait, I can erase my exes? I don't even remember this guy.
Giannis, what about that dunk in the third quarter?
What dunk?
Not anymore.
Has he been there the whole time?
Oh, now it's giving.
Touchdown! Awesome.
Totally awesome.
So this one's notable because it's almost everything else is brand building, and this is like overtly a functional ad, like showing off a lot of product features, which is I was actually thought like in the grand scheme of functional ads, this was one of the stronger ones I've seen. In that, like it just does a great job of showing everything off in an exciting way that keeps you engrossed. It's weird. It like turns into. It hits another level as soon as this cat starts taking photos in a selfie. It was just like, it has these odd moments where it feels relatively grounded, and then it starts to take some like interesting twists.
This could have been, yeah, it goes a lot of places for sure. This could have been my favorite one. This could have edged out Avocado if it had not gone down the celebrity route. If they hadn't, they have you like that grandpa Google spot has you, where they get right in your life. You're visualizing these images. And then Amy Schumer's there. And I'm just like, why is Amy Schumer in my heart space? And then some basketball player I don't fucking know is there. And that whole part of it ruined it for me. And not ruined it. I still like this ad, honestly, quite a bit. But it feels like if they had not had that and had the cat, the Doja Cat one, I thought was a really nice. If they had just had that Doja Cat beat where someone's at the red carpet, a human, not a celebrity, takes a picture with her, and then in the picture she's like, "Now this is sick." That felt like a really elegant way to do a celebrity tie-in in a Super Bowl spot that wasn't this like, what if Amy Schumer could remove her exes like play. Yeah, I like this one a lot. The cat thing, worked for me. I wish instead of the celebrity thing, they'd done a couple more of those beats where it goes to like a odder place.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also, when they switched into talking about the blurry photos, I really like the little audio gag they had of the song, the soundtrack turning into like a really shitty version of the soundtrack until it unblurs. It was really cool.
Really nice attention to sound in this one, which feels like, I feel like if I had to think about how this was ideated, it had to have started with, most tech companies' functional photograph commercials are, Alexa, show me a picture of my dead wife. Like there's one like that. And then there's one that I remember from last year that was about, like finally shifting how we calculate images to accommodate like darker skin complexions, but they're always very heavy handed. And I think that's part of what they're doing here is they started out and then they drop that track and are like, no, this is actually going to be really playful. And they are kind of like turning it on its head in a subtler way that it's cool.
Yep. All right. Let's do Popcorner's Breaking Bad.
Yo, these are the bomb.
And they're air pop, not fried.
Popcorners. You're an artist.
Actually, Jesse, it's just basic ingredients. No, we don't eat our own supply.
Mr. White!
Jesse.
Everyone's gonna want to taste. And I know just the guy to talk to. What are these? They call them popcorners.
Say their name.
Popcorners! Tight! Yeah! How much of this stuff do you have? We've got 6 signature flavors, John. 7! You make 7!
7 works. Yeah. Popcorners. Break into something good.
We're gonna eat a lot of snacks together.
I mean, it's entertaining for me. It's one of those. It's pretty lazy as far as like the premise and the creativity behind it. But I don't know if it works. It works, I guess.
It's Walter White. It's
yeah,
got. I mean,
exactly.
it's that. It's that.
To me, it's like one of those things where it's all of the bits are everything that like the people watching. I'm gonna try that again. All of those bits are like if the people watching were writing it. You know what I mean? It's like everything you want to have happen happens, right? The say their name, the tight, the fan service. I guess is the phrase for that.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it makes me think of like how much I despise fan service in the industry that is storytelling within like franchises, because to me it's just it not only incentivizes. It's a weird thing where it's like you're telling me as a fan of Star Wars you don't want new ideas, and the fans on some level are like, no, I don't. I want Han Solo to say the fucking thing. And it's like, okay, well then we're not going to get any more new good stories, because now the capitalistic profit incentive is let's pay Harrison Ford to say the thing for $75 million as opposed to think of a new sick thing that someone could say. Applying it to commercials is less like morally deplorable to me. But it seems it's breaking. What the fuck? Why Breaking Bad? I get that Better Call Saul is out, but like this is so far past the buzzer of cultural relevance that it's insane to me. It makes me wonder if, like we were talking about that idea of how safe these have to be, if they just couldn't do a Breaking Bad reference like when it would have hit, because they were worried that like not enough people would know what it was. It's just odd to be like over 10 years after Breaking Bad was culturally relevant, we'll do this thing that it doesn't even have an elegant ladder up. Why the fuck are they making chips? It's not like you're like, oh, of course. It was only a matter of time till Popcorners did a Breaking Bad spot.
Yeah, I assume they have some sort of research or insight that fed that. I mean, when Breaking Bad was actually on the air, it only had like an average of, I think it was like 6 to 8 million viewers a night. It wasn't like a massive cultural phenomenon.
Exactly.
I think it definitely picked up more momentum through streaming and all that. But even today, I wonder how many people, like everybody knows Breaking Bad from the zeitgeist, but like how many people would get very specific references in it? Because what does this spot look like if you don't know Breaking Bad? It's nonsense, right?
That's a fun world to imagine. Imagining a spot like this, but for something that doesn't exist, is very satisfying to me. Like imagining if you could get away with doing just like fan service. I guess maybe that's what those Pepsi spots were doing. The Ben Stiller one, at least to some degree, was doing that, where it was like doing these like big fan service send ups to franchises that don't exist.
It's like that movie where the guy like hits his head and then now he lives in a world where the Beatles don't exist, but he knows the Beatles' whole catalog. It's that, but making Breaking Bad goose and ads.
Tell you, that's a movie I can get. That's a franchise I can get behind. I had one other thing to say. Oh, I guess just like, it's impressive. They recreate a lot of aesthetics from the show that are a real craftsman's touch. Like there's like a telephoto lens where they do like a desert heat effect that they did a lot with the telephoto shots in Breaking Bad. That's the least you can do. Like when you're doing this spot, it's like, it's like complimenting someone on making like a perfect version of something shitty. But like I liked that they did it. It showed an attention to detail.
All right. Premature electrification.
Oh, fuck.
Are you excited about buying an electric vehicle, but worried that it could leave you unsatisfied? Then you could be one of many Americans concerned about premature electrification. Symptoms may include fearing you might not be able to last as long as you'd like.
There was plenty of charge before. Sometimes it goes away.
A lot of times.
I've been working a lot.
Being unsure if you'll have enough power to handle your payload.
I don't know if I got the power for this, baby.
I'm adventurous. I like to go all the way. I don't want to have to question if we're even going to make it. It's a concern.
Lacking the confidence about getting and being able to keep a charge.
Having to stop every time we got really excited, that wouldn't work for me. Stop. Start. Stop. Start.
If PE, premature electrification, is something you're worried about, go to ramrev.com and find out if the Ram 1500 Rev, with options being designed to extend range in satisfying ways, is right for you.
Stop. Start. Stop. Start.
I got a lot to say about this one. This is one of the most uncanny valley mirrors I've seen in American advertising. And I want to pause the conversation about like subverting the boner pill bit, because American advertising created the narrative that men associated their cars with their penises. That was something that was done over decades. This commercial is acknowledging that the majority of Americans know that the majority of Americans are aware that their consent has been manufactured to see their car as an extent of their virility, and is then subverting that. The idea that that's happening is so crazy to me, and really, really fucking worked me up when I saw this. Like, even if it's all completely subconscious, that's all there. To get this bit, you have to have all of that knowledge, which is such an insane amount of just media literacy for the average American to be like, yeah, I'm with you. I get it. It's like so fucking insane. Yeah. What did you think about this one?
I thought it was memorable. I laughed at it. I thought that overall, I guess I would disagree that you necessarily have to have that level of media literacy for it to work. I think that you certainly have to have the kind of familiarity with the boner pill type ads or the ED type ads, but I think associating that feeling of inadequacy basically with electrifying your vehicle was what they were going with, in a way that I thought it almost does this like 4D chess thing where it's saying, you're not one of those men who's susceptible to the idea that like your gas guzzling truck is part of your identity, right? And so you can laugh at this on like kind of a meta level because you're better than that because you want an electric car, right? Like I feel like that's the thought process that they're hoping you go through, which maybe that's what you were getting at, right? With it's like there is that media literacy of saying, okay, other men, drive their gas guzzling trucks because they're overcompensating for something. I'm not. I'm confident in being able to go out and buy an electric vehicle, which, yeah, I'd agree. It's like very fascinating.
That is one thing that I think after I said that, I was thinking about just how we're a car culture. Cars are like so core to the American identity. That messaging that was done in the 40s, 50s, exiting World War I, but World War II even more so, is it's permeated so deeply into the American zeitgeist where it's beyond advertising. I mean, a really relevant example of this is just like if you drive a sick sports car, you've got a small penis, right? Like that has nothing to do with advertising. It's a weird rubber banding of consent that was manufactured by car companies when they were worried that demand would outpace, or production would outpace demand. And so they were like, we need to reassociate this with like, if you have a nice new car, you're sexually virile. But it has gone to such a deep level. Like if you know fast car equals small penis, you get this joke, right? The deconstruction element is where this whiffs for me huge. Have you seen a boner pill commercial that has documentary interviews in it? Like that's the part where I'm just like, you guys fucked this up, and it could have been really good. There's a version of this that's really good and really funny. And I've seen us go down this exact rabbit hole with of all deconstruction, where you have a really clear view. I'm going to deconstruct this one specific thing, and client input, strategic input, other creatives involved, it can start slowly melding, and you're answering those questions with aesthetic decisions. And then you're on set or in post and you go, oh shit, this doesn't feel like what we were even trying to deconstruct now, because we ended up needing to like pour in these new tools and rods. But the nonfiction element of it was just such a weird misstep to me, and doesn't work. It's bad. It feels low budget too for a Ram commercial. I was surprised.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was going to say as far as like the execution of it. I don't know how. I agree with you that like the genre that it was trying to parody and build on, it just completely whiffed on that. I don't know how important that is to the average person though, and I think that is something that even we talk about in the work we do of like, how truthfully do you need to stick to something, or can you use it as a springboard? But all of that said, it's still just the execution felt cheap. It felt lame.
Yeah. You end up in an uncanny valley with that, right? Because you ultimately are now talking about aesthetic decisions that the average viewer won't notice. They're incalculable. But you have a fundamental belief that even though they're not noticing these things, they are psychologically moving the needle of the viewer. If you sat down and were like, no, come here, let me show you what I'm talking, they'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. Now that it's being pointed out to me, that is why I didn't like this. But that's a fugazi. You can't actually sit down every American. I think that if they had done this like an actual medication commercial, long disclaimer on the back half, with the sped up voice, videos of like the B-roll that like every like anti-depression or boner pill commercial has, this would have been one of my favorite spots. If they hadn't gone down that weird back road, which results in shitty jokes also. All of the jokes of the guy being like, I keep having to pull out and stop to calm down. It's like, I'm not a prude, and I'm like, bro, chill. This is like too, you give these like, I have to like, slow down and stop for a second. It's just like, it's kind of uncomfortable. It is weird.
Yeah, no, the fact that like all of the entertainment and the humor of the spot is derived from the literal text, and there's just like nothing about the filmmaking aspect of it that brings the story to life in any way. It is a complete miss, and it sucks, and it makes it have less staying power for sure. All right, let's talk about Tubi.
Welcome back to Super Bowl 57. So far, Greg, the game going like you expected?
Yeah, and so far, these teams, they've really...
Oh, shit. fucking nuts, man. That's crazy. That second one is insane. I missed that 60. That was the first time I'm seeing that. That one's nuts.
Yeah, I think so. We can start with the rabbit hole. I think this is the one that's going to win most of the awards from within the industry as like the
Jesus Christ
amongst creatives.
That's fucked up. It's so dark. The darkest fucking commercial I've seen in so long that it was just like, this is a good thing. It's a good thing that we're all.
Yeah. It is conceptually bizarre that like the thing we talk about of being pulled down a rabbit hole being turned into a way to sell it rather than the societal conversation we're trying to have about how anti-human these things can be is crazy.
Nuts, man. Sure. It's so insane. It seems like one of the most flagrant advertisements to, the biggest idea of our time, which is just like, stop worrying about anything but feeling good. Like, just stop giving a shit. Just order some fucking Dominoes and lay on your bed and watch 7 hours of Deal or No Deal. You don't need to care. You don't need to care. It's about you, and you need to feel good right now. And the fact that this commercial is just like actively these people just falling down like a demon pit, and they're just like, yeah, let's go. Dark, man. That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that my assumption is what they wanted you to leave with was this idea that Tubi has the same binge qualities as like a Netflix, right? That's all they needed you to walk away with. And I think it probably is effective in that regard.
If you came to me with the creative find rabbit holes you didn't even know you were looking for about a streaming platform I'm going to go to watch 27 dresses, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's so crazy to me that was the angle they went with. If this is like a Wikipedia ad or like a YouTube ad or like something that's actually like the democratization of the internet at work, where you can discover something new and not just a distillation of what like 7 corporations have decided is your allotment of content that's good for you, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can see how that. What fucking rabbit holes? Like season 7 of Survivor is a rabbit hole that's going to like teach me something new. It just seems so. Now I'm getting mad about how bad that tag is for what the premise of this ad is. Yeah, I don't like this. It made me angry. What is Tubi's not the one that I'm into where you can watch TV channels. That's something else, right?
No, I think Tubi's just, I think it's the Fox-owned streaming platform to compete with Hulu. Yeah,
it's just another streaming platform that has, a different set of movies.
Yeah.
Word.
Such as Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which was the other one was, I think, probably the biggest hit of the night. I was in a bar with, 150 people there, and the whole bar was just like, oh, when
really?
Somebody like grabbed the remote and then went, oh, when they realized it was just part
really?
of yeah.
That's fun. I have never thought of watching the Super Bowl in a bar, and I'm going to go do that because they bump the commercials? Like everyone's watching the commercials?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a spectacle.
Okay, that's awesome, and I'm going to go do that forever. I did not know when I've caught sporting events in bars. Usually, just everyone talks too loud during the commercials for sure. No one's like, "Shut the fuck up." We got to see the Energizer Bunny. That's sick. I'm stoked to do that next year. It's cool that this worked because I watched this on my laptop and was just like, I know I didn't go to Tubi. I know this isn't a thing. It didn't hit that for me. I love that. The decision was made. Someone said, yo, fuck the Super Bowl. I want to watch 2006's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That's what we're going to go with. That's going to be our value prop here. Is hilarious to me and deeply satisfying. That made this one of my favorite ads just because it's so fucking stupid. Like I can't think of a more like innocuous film title to decide as like the one you're going to be like, yeah, man, we got Mr. and Mrs. Smith on deck. Come through. It's so crazy.
Yeah. But I think as far as it seems like every year somebody does something that kind of subverts the medium a little bit or at least breaks through. And this one was one of the better ones I've seen. The best will always be the Tide ad one, where it was, they do the bait and switch. You think it's one commercial, and then they point out it's a Tide ad, because the whole rest of to me, that's the greatest Super Bowl ad of all time, honestly, because the whole rest of the Super Bowl, you're constantly like, is this a Tide ad? Is this a Tide ad?
Yep.
And it's like, damn, they just like hijacked the entire, $500 million worth of ad placement.
It's fucking genius. It is by far the best Super Bowl ad of all time. I would strongly agree with that take. This one. This one's the shorter one. That's just to the streaming platform. Really, really solid. It's elegant, right? It's doing the same thing that there was like a crypto QR code last year or something. It's trying to do the same thing, but it's doing it in. It's that thing you and me talk about a lot about with art, where it's going 1,000 miles with so little effort. Like, it's such a simple, straightforward way to get to something really strong in a way that I really, really like. It resonated with me in a positive way.
Probably, I think the funniest thing too is it probably elicited the strongest emotional reaction of everything. Right. I seriously, and I know it kind of went viral online, people talking about it, just like the anxiety that it caused a lot of people who thought somebody was like screwing around with the remote in the middle of the game.
That dad on the easy chair, dude,
exactly.
Triggered for sure.
This tore at least one family apart. All right. Last one, Workday, which is a B2B platform, which is notable for me. So let's watch that.
Good night! Hey, corporate types, will you stop calling each other rock stars?
You're a rock star. You are a rock star.
Rock stars, please.
You know what it takes to be a rock star?
I've trashed hotel rooms in 43 countries.
I was on the road since I was 16.
I've done my share of bad things. Also, your share of bad things. We know that using Workday for finance and HR makes you great at your job.
That don't make you a rock star.
Oh, Ted in finance, you're a rock star.
Hey, Liz in HR, can you do this?
Unless you work with an actual rock star.
You are a rock star.
Thank you.
Who's the new guy?
Hi, I'm Oswald.
Hello, Oswald.
Give it up for Pam. Pam, you are a rock star. I wasn't gonna say it.
This might have been my least favorite.
This is a fun one to pick because it's almost every single element of it is a case study in bad Super Bowl advertising. It does a really funny thing that I've been thinking about lately with the American zeitgeist, where if you were able to, from let's say like 1985 till now, create a slice of like just faces and people in media, there's a point where it pauses and the same people just get older. And it's very, very interesting. And we're still in it, which is crazy that like we're like advertisers are still saying like, no, the key demographic that's going to buy shit. I don't know who any of these fools are other than Ozzy Osbourne, the only person in this that I recognize by name. And it's just wild to me that you're watching these people like get old and decay as opposed to anyone new. Maybe that's the dude from the Black Pumas. Do you have any idea who the black guy is who's like our age?
It's Gary Clark Jr., which I think was a funny thing for me in that everybody else, a boomer would know who they were, right? They were, Billy Idol. What's his name from Kiss?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Kiss. I don't know his fucking name.
Yeah, those are all like people from a certain era. And then Gary Clark Jr. is in there, who's not even like that well known, and he's a modern artist. And it had me thinking that like they were writing this script and they're like, oh shit, they're all white. We got to throw somebody who's black in there. And they couldn't 100%. Come up with a black rock star from that era, so they had to bring somebody newer in.
Well, it's weird also because like they could have just used like 21 Savage or something. Like they're still rock star. Like the term rock star does that. You don't need to literally be like they play guitar. Like you could have had any prominent black musician in this and not had to have been that literal.
That, like he's not even he's more of an indie artist, I would say. You know, he's somebody who like people my age know really well, and people that really know music know well, but he's not in the pop culture zeitgeist.
Something I love. So, okay, bad Super Bowl ad bingo. You've got aging boomers that are no longer relevant to the zeitgeist. You've got a shitty fucking pun that you're going to run into the ground, that you're going to tie in the celebrities with. Also, my favorite insight about this, is it even fucking relevant or true? Like, it feels like a take from like 2008 business that people are calling each other rock stars. It is not like a thing where I was like, oh my God, that was on the tip of my tongue. They do that.
And I don't see how the premise works with the product too. That was what was confusing me. Like, isn't the product makes you better at your job? I'd assume what any technology does, and it's for HR. And the specific what was the tagline at the end? Let me pull it up.
You become a rock star. They're like, let it make you look like a rock star. I mean, that's whatever it is.
Be a finance and HR rock star.
Which is,
yeah,
it's so disconnected from the spot because they're like, rock stars are these unpredictable narcissists. That's the whole bit, is that they're like, they fuck up hotel rooms and like don't give a shit. Why would you want your HR people to be that? There's a version of this spot that's awesome. That is, it came out during COVID, and it's people going through a Workday. You're like zipping between them, and they're all talking. They're like, copy, roger that. I'm going to get this over. It's just that thing that happened, and I watched it happen from like 2018 to 2021, where a bunch of film set lingo and like military lingo, as we all switched to Zoom and Slack, became like very relevant and culturally utilized a lot in office jargon. And it was, it was the same thing. It was like a B2B platform that was like, stop talking about working, just get work done. Or so, it was something that was just like, you guys have to use all these code words, just use our product. And it did feel, when I saw it, I laughed because I was like, oh my God, that is so true that's happening in American business right now. And yeah, this is a bad ad.
Bad ad. Cool. All right. Well, we got through our list. Any closing thoughts? This was maybe a third of the total ads that ran. I want to give a shout. I know you wanted to shout out the E-Trade babies. I wanted to shout out two things. One was the Will Ferrell GM Netflix ad that was just an ad announcing that GM is going to have product placement in Netflix. What a bizarre reason to advertise.
Similar thing. So it worked me up the same way the boner pill one did, where I was like, it's crazy that we have gotten to a point with American literacy where we know that GM is actively manufacturing consents in the media we watch. And they're like, hey, we just want to let you know the cars that we're selling you when you watch the new Friends reboot, they're electric. So you should know that while we're doing that to you. It was so wild to me. Very fun, though. I liked it. It's fine.
It almost it made me think. It felt more like PR than advertising. Like, this is our corporate press release. For some reason, this Tiger team that put together this deal has a few $1 million lying around, so they decided to put it into a Super Bowl ad to announce it. That's the backstory in my head.
Yeah. E-Trade babies are fucking wild. I mean, the spot, I guess, just to catch everyone up, they're at like a wedding, and in it, one of the E-Trade babies is trying to get laid. Like, he's like, yo, where the ladies at? I'm single, which is just, it's crazy that throughout all of this, they're just like, yeah, let the E-Trade babies fuck is insane to me. That's such a psychotic thing to the fact that it just made it through everyone. The people wrote it, the client approved it, they edited it. The FCC was just like, yeah, hell yeah, the E-Trade babies should be able to get lit and like hit on women is wild as hell. And also, I guess, I don't know, I want to do another one of these where we talk about ads we like. I feel like this was a lot of just us being like, I could have done the Super Bowl. If you gave me a Super Bowl spot, it'd be sick. And it's like, I want to, I like advertising. I like commercials. There are a lot of things I think are great. I think we touched on this, but like Super Bowl ads specifically, I never like a lot of them because they're so safe. They're the equivalent of like Marvel movies, the things that are just, they have to make $85 million in a specific province of China. It's not art anymore. When you get to that point, when you get that dialed down into knowing what your returns need to be, the risk avoidance is so intense that you end up with things that are just really milquetoast. And yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right. Well, we will make some more hot content eventually, looking at stuff we like. Maybe we can make this a standing series where once a month we just look at the stuff that was dope that month and talk about it.
Nice.
That is not a promise, by the way, because we will get busy and probably not do it. But
I
try
promise.
our best.
I'll do it alone.
Cool. All right. See ya.